said Keyshawn and I like the Mavs. I don't like no Mavs.
Oh, I thought you liked the Mavericks.
Oh,
yes,
no.
you know what? It's Paul and I. I'm
No,
sorry.
I do not.
I misspoke on that.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, Skip.
Okay.
But go ahead, Rachel.
All right, first of all, I don't want to hear anything from you because you picked the Lakers to win the title.
Yeah, but I'm going to pick the Lakers. Even if the Lakers had 2 people on the team, I'm going to pick them.
I'm just saying, I don't want to hear it from you. I will say that Game 7 that Denver played against Minnesota, I've literally seen nothing like it. You said that the AFC Championship was a shocker to you. The idea that the idea that the Nuggets did what they did in the first half and even started the third quarter on a run and then just got completely dismantled.
Would they get up 17 in the third quarter?
In the last, 15 minutes or so of that game. It's so shocking, and I almost can't account for what happened there. So I still think if the Nuggets had advanced through that series, I still think they would have won the conference finals, and I still think they would have won the title. But it didn't happen.
You're probably right.
Credit to the T-Wolves that it didn't happen. They went out and got that game from behind. And I do think they're going to continue the momentum, at least in this first game. I just think that we see it all the time. The team that's had to claw and scrape and all of those things, the team that's had less rest, they sometimes come out more ready to play in Game 1. They're going to be at home. There's going to be a lot of excitement. However, I do think Dallas can steal one in Minneapolis. I'm just not sure it's going to be Game 1. The whole series rests, to me, on whether Dallas's role players can continue to play out of their mind. Because this team, this Wolves team, pressures like no one else. They played better defense than the Thunder played. And by the way, the Thunder are an excellent defensive team, and the Minnesota's better. So Luka is going to find himself pressured from the moment he has the ball until he makes it to the hoop. Kyrie, as we saw, already struggled a bit to score in the second series after having such a good scoring night in the first series, right? With the Clippers, he had several great games. Didn't quite find it against Thunder. And I don't think it's going to be easier with Anthony Edwards on him and other people coming over to help. So the role players, again, have to come through for Dallas for them to have any shot of winning this series. That can be a lot to ask.
It can be. But back to the Denver situation real quick.
All right.
I was told that,
Lakers.
that Minnesota couldn't go into Denver and win Game 7. You say 17 points in the third quarter. It was cut down to 1 with a dagger 3 right before the fourth quarter started with Ant-Man. So
the guy who was 6 of 24?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, Skip.
Wait, 2 of 10.
It doesn't matter. He played great defense in the third quarter, was okay in the fourth quarter playing defense.
Although Jamal scored 3 times on him. But go ahead.
But he played great.
Yeah.
He didn't let him score 10 times on him.
No.
That they got out of there. Okay, so now you fast forward to this Denver series. Denver is up, not Denver, Dallas is, all these Ds, Dallas is up against a challenge because you got to think about the defensive side of the ball. You say, well, Luka's going to get you 30. Kyrie can get you 30 at any given night. The role players, like Rachel was saying, these first 2 games are on the road. People tell me all the time, role players don't play great on the road. That's this myth that's out there.
Until Game 7 at Denver. But
Until Game 7 at Denver.
And the Pacers at Madison Square Garden.
And the Pacers at Madison Square Garden. And some of the Pacers last night. So when you talk about the opportunity for Rudy Gobert to control the inside, because you know what Luka's going to try to get to. He's going to try to get to all his spots. Same thing with Kyrie. But then you got Cat, who's going on the offensive end, has got to help out Ant-Man and make sure he's scoring some points. Because if he's not scoring, somebody else is. Conley can get you, he can get you 15 to 20 on any given night. It's not necessarily something he wants to do, but he can do that. So they got more pieces, in my opinion, from front to back than Dallas. Dallas got the two guys, and then they got to try to find out who else is going to contribute. Is it going to be Hardaway Jr.? Is he going to finally come to light and start to contribute? Is it going to be Lively coming off the bench and getting his 10 points and create some havoc on boards and making people alter their shots? In the end, I think Minnesota gets out of here. They make it to their first NBA final in franchise history, and they probably wind up playing the Celtics. It's as simple as that for me, and I think it'll go down in 6.
Okay. I apologize for saying you like the Mavericks in this, but you flip-flop on your opinions so much.
Oh, God, stop. You so... Man, please.
All right. So I'll be the odd person out here. I'm going to stick with the Mavericks, and I will admit to you, there's some heart involved here because I did love the Thunder, And so I want the Mavericks to sort of validate the Thunder a little bit by going on to the NBA Finals. But I will simply boil it down to this. There is a Luka and there is a Kyrie on one team, and there's an Anthony Edwards on the other team. And I know there's a Cat, and I know there's a Gobert, and I know there's a Jaden McDaniels and Mike Conley. We got it. We got it. But in the end, I'm going to boil it down to Luka and Kyrie versus Anthony Edwards. Superstardom here on display. And it's 2-on-1. And I'm going to say that the two prevail in 6 games because there are 2 of them who are extraordinary at what they do. Extraordinary. And I hear you about Kyrie against the Thunder, but it almost felt like
didn't happen in the last one.
It almost felt like he was just sort of picking his spots against the Thunder. Oh, you need me? Okay, I'll do a little bit here, and then I'll do a little bit over there, and then I'll do a little bit. But Luka's got it going, so I'm cool. This is we talked about this yesterday. Obviously, you weren't here, but Kyrie, he just feels different. He feels like he's sort of grown up before your very eyes. And I just love how he's handling himself. He is the leader of this team in ways Luka can't be the leader because Luka's sort of unto himself. And there's something about this Dallas front line that is intriguing to me because P.J. Washington played huge against Oklahoma City, but he has since the trade deadline. He's been the perfect pickup for them. Daniel Gafford, all he does is, like, if he takes 8 shots, he'll make 7 of them. And he is a man on the backboards. And then Derek Lively II is coming in off the bench. And I love Chet Holmgren, but he outplayed Chet in that closeout 100%. Game 6. He just did, because he is 7 feet 1 inches tall. And so you've got those 3 against your 3-headed monster. And I got nothing but respect for those 3. But I think they can hold them, like stand them off. They can equalize them and help cancel them out to some extent where I don't feel intimidated by your 3-headed monster. And I do feel like the Mavericks are going to go as far as Kyrie takes them, because this is the time when he's going to have to rise and shine, because I think Ant-Man's going to have him for the most part.
He called him out at the end of the last series. It was amazing.
It's funny, Skip, because this is the same thing, not necessarily from you, but from others that I was hearing about the Denver series, that they got 2 guys based on Jamal Murray knocking down shots against the Lakers, and then obviously Joker, MVP is Joker. They got 2 against 1, and Anthony Edwards. But all they did, the other guys do, was show up. Even to the point where Rudy Gobert hit a shot in Game 7, and we was like,
Rudy went 7 for 7 in one of those games.
Yeah, so
that game.
So I hear what you're saying about Kyrie and Luka and only Ant-Man, but all of his players, they show up with him.
They do.
And that's the X factor when you talk about, I was saying earlier, Rachel, that dude, whether he was, 6 of 17 or whatever it was, Ant-Man.
6 of 24.
6 of 24. Whether he's 6 of 24 or not, they follow.
Yeah.
And that's what you have.
I give you that.
When you have a leader that everybody's following and knowing that they got to chip in for them to get a victory, I could care less than what the star player box scores look like if I'm getting it from other guys. And that's why they were able to go into Denver, able to take them to Game 7, and able to win, because that dude said, no, not on my watch. It's not going to happen. And even though his shooting percentage looked bad, he hit shots at crucial moments that mattered. Because when you up by 17, and all of a sudden you look up and you are up by 1 in the 4th quarter, that's because that dude hit that shot. That's because he hit that shot.
He went 1 for 8 in the 4th quarter.
Doesn't matter.
But he hit that other shot.
Doesn't matter.
He hit that other shot that was
They knew he was struggling. They knew he was struggling, and they said to themselves, we got to pick our guy up. Got to pick him up.
All right, I got it. I will admit this. It gave me pause yesterday when I'm looking at first team and second team all defense, and I see Jaden McDaniels made the second team, and you voted for Jaden McDaniels. It gave me pause because I think for much, if not most of the time, he will be on Luka, and he is 6 feet 9 inches tall and long and quick and nasty, and I knew he was good. I just didn't know he had arrived, because that's arrival when you make second team all defense. So they got the antidote here for Luka. I just figure over time Luka will figure him out, because he figures everybody out.
I mean, look, Jaden has to make sure he doesn't get into foul trouble.
He does.
That's a real danger there. Luka, on the other hand, has to stop talking to the officials. I mean, the difference between Game 5 when he didn't and Game 6 when he kept doing it, I'm kind of amazed.
I just think that's a European thing, though.
I don't know if it is.
No, I think it is
it's a Luka thing.
No, I think it is because I was watching Joker. Every time he's please, he fouled me. Then I think it might be though. I honestly do.
All right. Well, look, the point though is that Luka has the potential to break out. Kyrie, I worry a little bit if he can do his amazing stuff around the hoop when you've got Rudy Gobert right there and Kat coming in to help and all of that. But look, Kyrie is a magician, so he could pull it off. But again, to me, it's the role players. And you talked about some of these guys. I want to point out in the Oklahoma City series, at least every game of that series, either P.J. Washington or Jarrett Jones Jr. had 19 points. When you get that from guys like that, that's incredible. I will also point out that as good a series as P.J. Washington had, and the fact that at the end of Game 6, he just played out of his mind and hit the free throws and did this and did that. For most of that game, he wasn't hitting anything. His shooting percentage was like 20-something, right?
Yep.
So you have to
until the fourth quarter when he made two huge threes and then made the two free throws.
So I'm not complaining about him. I'm just saying that the expectation has to be that these role players show up the way they have been, and that's just not always a given.
All I know is I'm happy about one thing. I'm happy that your Nuggets didn't make it this far because I was just getting worn out from them. I was getting worn out watching Joker. And
I have a question for you, Keyshawn.
Yes, ma'am.
You know how Skip just said that he wanted Dallas to move on because then it shows that Oklahoma City didn't lose they lost to a champion or something like that. How do you feel now that the Lakers got swept by the Nuggets, who
I don't even care. As long as the Nuggets not in it, it doesn't
got
even
knocked
matter
out of the next round?
Doesn't even matter. As long as the Nuggets are not in it, I could care less.
That doesn't
I
show
do
you
not like the Nuggets. I don't like Mike Malone. I just don't like it.
But this perception that, they ran into Denver early and no one can win against Denver, obviously not true.
Minnesota's a bad matchup for Denver. It's a bad matchup for Denver.
Whose fault is it that Lakers aren't?
Well, because that's our roster. We don't have bigs like that. When we beat them in the bubble, we had bigs, right? We had, and Joker was still kind of younger, and trying to figure out how to be Joker, and Jamal Murray was.
Yeah, he just lost all that weight. Yeah.
So you think about it. I don't look at it. I look at the Lakers having to figure out how to get big. Okay, we need to figure out how to get big. If they're going to be in our way for the next 5 years, we got to combat that because we're going to have to see Minnesota and they bigs too. So we got to figure out how to get bigger.
Yes, but Tim Conley foresaw that Denver was going to be a force and he had to get big.
Well, he was in Denver.
I get it.
So he knew.
Saying, it's not an impossible thing to notice that the Western Conference was transitioning into longer players. It happened in the Eastern Conference too. And the fact that their roster couldn't match up with Denver is not just some fluke. It was designed in a certain way, and that design was a choice not to make different decisions.
But we also have a guy on the team that really necessarily hadn't played with a whole bunch of bigs other than the year that we won the championship. So we don't really know if they were basically building a roster around King James opposed to the Western Conference.
I'm just saying.
No, but I'm saying if you're building it around King James, you're not going to have a bunch of bigs. You're going to try to get knockdown shooters and those sort of things. That's how he's always won, other than when we had JaVale McGee and Dwight and AD was the only time. That was in the bubble.
I think the Lakers already had a wake-up call after the way these playoffs ended, and they obviously started making changes.
How did this conversation turn into the Lakers, though?
I'm just asking.
Y'all always hating on the Lakers.
But this is further evidence that they should do something dramatic.
Of course.
Because you can't say anymore, well, we ran into Denver early and they're unbeatable. They got swept by a team that got knocked out in the next round. So I'm not saying.
No, wait, we stole. We're 5. Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
We had a dustpan.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you just wanted to sweep us in the corner.
But it's 8 of the last 9 playoff
yes,
games.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, you're totally right. But I'm just saying.
Felt like a sweep.
I think that I'm not saying the Lakers are trash. I just think that the Lakers need to take heed.
Of course.
That it's not just bad luck that they ran into Denver early. It's that they need to make changes.
All the teams except Dallas. OKC got a big in Chet. Okay.
He's put on some weight, but yeah.
Yeah, he's like a little lollipop guy. Then you got the Minnesota, you got Denver. Those right there, those three are going to be around. Now, obviously, San Antonio got Wemby. They're going to be around for a minute. And, yeah, the Lakers they'll figure it out. I trust in Pelinka and Genie.
Okay.
I trust.
So, to Rachel's point, her Nuggets were up 17 points with 10 minutes left in the third quarter and somehow lost it by 8.
Inexplicable.
Like, what?
Well, I mean, you
And
know.
I credit the Timberwolves, by the way. They went and took it, but I was watching and I was like, how is this happening?
It's
What
the
is
Nuggets. It should never happen to the Nuggets. It's the
happening? Oh, my
Nuggets.
Lord.
They won 9 championships out of the last 11. It should never happen to them.
All right. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.